No one knew she was part human, part demon until this happened part 2. For days, Zuwina was lost in thought, torn between her love for Whale and her loyalty to her family. She could not ignore her desire to be human, to live freely and love without the shadow of her magical heritage hanging over her. But the thought of losing her immortality, her powers, and her connection to the forest frightened her. One evening, as the sun began to set, Zuwina made her decision. She would choose love. She would choose freedom. She went deep into the forest, to the sacred grove where the magic of her people was strongest. There, her parents waited, as if they had known all along what her decision would be. Her father's eyes were hard, full of disappointment, but her mother's expression was softer, though lined with sadness. "Are you certain?" her mother asked. Zuwina nodded. "I love him. I want to live as a human, to be with him." Her father stepped forward, his voice heavy with finality. "If you choose this path, you can never return. You will lose your magic, your immortality. You will age, grow weak, and one day die, just as all humans do. There is no going back." "I understand," Zuwina whispered, though the weight of her choice pressed heavily on her heart. Her parents exchanged a look, and then, with a wave of her mother's hand, a gust of wind swirled through the grove. The ancient magic of their kind, vast and powerful, encircled Zuwina. The air shimmered with light, as if the very essence of the forest was bidding her farewell. Zuwina felt a warmth rush through her body, and then a heaviness, a sensation she had never known before. It was the weight of mortality. Her father watched in silence, his face a mask of stone. Her mother, though sorrowful, stepped closer, her eyes brimming with love and regret. "You have chosen, my daughter," her mother said softly. "You will be human now. You will live a life bound by time. But you will also know joys we cannot experience, the joys of a heart that loves deeply and fully. Go, and may your path bring you peace." Zuwina felt a tear slip down her cheek, a very human tear. She had never cried before. She had never felt the pain of loss so acutely, but there was also something else, hope, a flutter of anticipation in her chest. She was free. Her parents turned and vanished into the trees, leaving her standing alone in the clearing. The wind calmed, and the glow of magic dissipated, leaving Zuwina standing beneath the stars, now fully human. She took a deep breath, feeling the cool night air against her skin in a way she had never felt before. Everything was different now, sharper, more immediate. The weight of her immortality was gone, replaced by the fleeting but vibrant sensations of human life. Zuwina knew what she had to do. She returned to the village, this time not as a mysterious stranger but as a woman with a heart full of love and a future she could now build. She found Whale waiting by her empty stall, his eyes searching the crowd as if looking for her. When he saw her, his face lit up with surprise and joy. "Zuwina," he said, stepping forward. "I thought you had left without saying goodbye." "I could never leave without telling you the truth," Zuwina said, her voice trembling slightly. I am not like the others in this village. I was something different once, but I have chosen to be human. I have chosen to be with you, if you will have me." Wei looked at her, confused at first, but then something in her eyes, the sincerity, the depth of her words, struck him. He took her hands in his touch warm and reassuring. "You don't have to explain everything to me," he said gently. "I only know that from the moment I saw you, I felt something I've never felt before. If you want to be with me, then that's all I need to know." Zuwina smiled, a smile that carried with it the weight of her decision, the loss of her magical past, and the hope for a new future. She had chosen to give up the world she had known for centuries to live in the moment, to love as a human, to grow old, and to cherish each day as it came. And now, standing before Whale, she knew she had made the right choice. Whale pulled her into his arms, and for the first time, Zuwina felt the true warmth of human affection, a warmth that pulsed through her with a richness she had never imagined possible. In the weeks that followed, Zuwina settled into her new life. The village of Ukoma buzzed with gossip about the mysterious fruit seller who had suddenly decided to stay. No one knew the full story, and no one needed to. The villagers slowly grew accustomed to her presence, and while her beauty still captivated, it no longer held the same air of otherworldliness. She was one of them now. Zuina married Whale in a small ceremony under the shade of a great baobab tree, surrounded by the people of Ukoma. Her fruit still drew the villagers to her store, but now it was her laughter and her kindness that kept them coming back. The men who had once pined after her learned to respect her union with Whale, admiring the strength of the bond between them. As the seasons passed, Zuina and Whale's love deepened. Whale continued his travels as a merchant, often taking Zuina with him to new villages, where she found joy in exploring new lands and meeting new people. Their lives were full, but there was a simplicity to it that Zuina cherished. She had lived through centuries of magic and mystery, but now she found happiness in the small moments, the feel of Whale's hand in hers, the sound of laughter at the market, the warmth of the sun on her skin. Zuina knew she would grow old, that her beauty would fade, that one day she would die as all humans do. But that no longer frightened her. She had chosen this life, and she had chosen it for love. And in the end, that was all that mattered. Years passed, and as time took its natural toll, Zuina aged gracefully. She and Whale built a life together, welcoming children and grandchildren into their home. They watched as their family grew, their love passing down through the generations. As the years turned into decades, the stories of Zuina's magical origins faded into legend. She became known not for the mystery that had once surrounded her, but for the love and kindness she had shown to all who knew her. And when her time finally came, Zuina passed peacefully, surrounded by her family, her hand clasped in Whale's. She had lived a life full of love, and she had never once regretted her choice. In the end, Zuina had discovered that the greatest magic of all was the magic of a human heart, capable of love, sacrifice, and boundless joy. And that was a magic that would live on, long after she was gone.